I know it sounds cliché, but I believe my wife Joan and I have the perfect marriage. Next month, we will celebrate our 20th anniversary. We are as in love with each other as the day we met. We hear stories about other couples who have problems that lead to divorce, but we can't imagine this happening to us. From the very beginning, we had a wonderful relationship based on respect and the ability to talk about everything. We have no secrets. We discuss everything together. We are best friends and lovers. We value time spent together and being a couple rather than two separate partners. If something is bothering one of us, we can share it and get support. We don't need to hide our feelings. If I do something that annoys her, she tells me about it, and vice versa. In the same way, we are quick to praise each other, but more than that, if we want something, we just say it. We don't play games. The same is true with sex. We do everything together. She doesn't refuse me anything, just like I don't refuse her. Even after all these years, we have sex 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes more, sometimes less. We are spontaneous. It often happens that we have sex at any moment. We make it fun and exciting. Let's experiment. As for finances, we both work and earn good money. Our combined income exceeds $250,000 a year. We each put 3/4 of our salaries into a joint bank account. The remaining quarter goes to our personal accounts. We are free to use money from personal accounts as we wish. Joan doesn't have to explain her expenses any more than I need to explain mine. We discuss and make decisions together on major expenses that use our shared funds. We both have 5 weeks of paid vacation per year. We usually spend 2 weeks of vacation together in the summer and go on a long trip. We also take a week in the winter for a ski trip, usually to Colorado, and a week in the fall for a fall break. We have 1 week left, which we always take separately, but at the same time in the spring. We jokingly call this week our Sabbath. Joan usually visits her family or goes on trips with one or more friends. I usually go on outdoor adventures with my male friends. Even though we are not together this week, we communicate daily and do not hide anything from each other. We take vacations at the same time so we don't miss more than 1 week together. This always works well, and the time apart ends up with us spending a few days making up for lost time in bed. None of us take our jobs too seriously. It's just a job, not our life. This means we don't work a lot of overtime and never have. We also have strict rules about not bringing work home. Work ends at 5 every day, and by 6 o'clock we are both home and looking forward to the evening together. We prefer to spend time together, whether at home or going out as a couple, rather than going out with friends or doing things that take us away from each other. When our children were younger, they took up most of our time, but since they are almost grown, we have found that we still enjoy each other's company more than anything else. Speaking of kids, we have 2. Adam, he's 19 and finishing his 2nd year at the University of Texas at Austin, and Abby, she's 17 and in her senior year of school. She received a full scholarship to the University of California, San Diego. We will miss the kids when Abby leaves home, but look forward to getting back to life as a couple. Like many men my age, I love golf. Joan prefers tennis. Our income has allowed us to become members of the best clubs and golf courses. It's funny, but we love each other's company so much that I became her tennis partner, and she became her golf partner. This is not because we are possessive or jealous. The thing is, we're each other's best friends, and if we're going to do something, we want to do it together. We go to the cinema once a week. Joan chooses a movie 1 week, and I choose the next. We have a date night every week, either Friday or Saturday, depending on what else we have planned. We are foodies, so we always choose a new, popular, or highly rated restaurant. I'm into craft beers and cocktails, so we end the night with a visit to a great bar. We end the date night with a trip to one of the local nightclubs to dance. For a long time, I was bad at dancing. Joan was generous about it. She only wanted to dance with me, despite my lack of skills. She is a beautiful, sexy woman, and many men ask her to dance when we go out. She always refuses them. I felt terrible and pushed her to dance with other men, but she made it clear that she came here to dance for a reason, but with me. so I decided to take dance lessons. We went together and enjoyed it so much that we continued walking. We are now quite proficient in several styles of dance, from ballroom to salsa to Texas two-step. Now that we have a date night, I am proud to spend the night dancing with my beautiful wife. I'm not into sports as much as most of my male friends. I only watch the NFL regularly. Otherwise, I only watch when our team is in the playoffs, or it's the Super Bowl, NBA Finals, World Series, or Indy 500. Joan is as big a fan as I am, so she helps me cheer for our teams or consoles me when they lose. When Joan wants to try a new hobby like crocheting, knitting, decorative painting, pottery, or painting, guess who she drags with her to class? That's right, me. The irony is that I enjoy it as much as she does. She is much better at knitting, and I am great at pottery and painting. We walk the dog together. We go grocery shopping together. Let's garden together. We even go for manicures and pedicures together. We do everything together. Although no, there is one thing we don't do together: cutting hair. I usually get my hair cut at Floyd's barber shop near my office during my lunch break once a month. For as long as I can remember, Joan had every other Thursday off, which she used as a spa day to pamper herself, get a massage, and get her hair done. We have a large lake house with a pool, boat, and RV for luxury camping. We travel often. We are active and participate in many events. Life couldn't be better. I got married successfully. I never had any doubt that Joan loved me and only me. Not once did she do or say anything to make me doubt her loyalty and loyalty. Just like I never thought about cheating on her, I'm happy with what I have. Plus, Joan always makes sure we have great sex, which keeps me interested in other women. One day, I felt sick and came home from work in the middle of the day. No, I didn't find Joan in bed with someone. I found something else that didn't make me anxious at first. It just seemed strange. Among the mail was one of those advertising inserts you put in a box. I usually just ignore them and throw them in the trash, but this one caught my attention. It said, "We miss you," in big bold letters. I looked closer and noticed that it was from the Golden Sunday Spa, the same spa that Joan had been a member of for many years and where she went every other Thursday. According to the brochure, she was a former customer, and they were offering her a significant discount to get her to come back. Included was an account number and a phone number to call to speak with a salesperson. Thinking it must be some kind of mistake, and knowing that tomorrow was her free Thursday, I decided to resolve the problem for her. I called the number and spoke with a polite salesperson named Gwen, who informed me that the account was one of their old, inactive accounts. When I asked her what that meant, she said Joan canceled the bill over 5 years ago. She kindly offered to renew my membership for free and offer a 25% discount on the first 6 months of membership if I signed up for a 2-year contract. I was confused. Joan went to the spa every 2 Thursdays. Why would she cancel her membership? It may have been cheaper to simply pay non-membership rates for visits rather than pay monthly dues. When I asked about this, Gwen assured me that they were an exclusive, upscale establishment that catered only to regular members and their guests. "Sorry, Gwen," I said, trying not to sound condescending, "but there must be some accounting error. My wife has been going to your spa religiously every other Thursday for over 10 years. I heard Gwen tapping on the keyboard as we spoke. "That's very unlikely. We have a very complex membership system. We've been using it since we opened. Members can go back and see everything they've done. According to our system, your wife joined us in 2008. That tells you something." I thought for a second. Yeah, that sounds about right. We just moved to Frisco, so she hasn't revealed that she goes to the spa every other Thursday. "Let me see," Gwen replied, tapping the keys again. "Sir, are you sure she went to this particular spa? Our records show that she came here about 20 times, most often with a guest, irregularly in the first 3 years, and has not been here since 2010. She has not visited us at all for almost 2 years since I canceled my membership." It didn't make any sense to me. I sat and thought about all possible explanations. Maybe Joan changed spas and never thought it was important enough to tell me. After all, this is a relatively trivial thing. Sir, Gwen asked, is there anything else I can help you with? Yeah, I said when her words brought up wild thoughts. You said that most often she came with a guest. Do you have any record of who it was? We should have, Gwen explained. Guests are required to show identification and check in with us for security reasons. Let me see. A few more clicks then. Oh, wow. What did you find? I asked. Sir, I probably shouldn't say anything, Gwen replied hesitantly. I don't want to get in trouble. It's okay, Gwen, I reassured her. What did you find? Well, she hesitated. She only seemed to come alone the first 2 times she used her membership. After that, she always had the same guest, a man. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. Can you tell me his name? Sir, I think your wife should do it, Gwen said. She sounded confused. Gwen, please, I swear no one will know where I got the information from, I begged. I need to know. Gwen sighed, then said, his name is Connor Wilkins. Oh, I said, Connor Wilkins. Thank you, Gwen. Connor Wilkins was the owner of the company where Joan worked and her immediate superior. Is there anything else I can do to help? Gwen asked nervously. Connor Wilkins and his wife Tiffany were our best friends. They lived literally around the corner, and we visited them, or they visited us so many times that I lost count. Our sons played lacrosse together. Our daughters were best friends. No, that's all, thanks, I said and hung up. Not once did I see anything that indicated anything was going on between Joan and Connor. When we were together, the two of them never disappeared together. They never showed any overt affection or inappropriate flirtatious behavior. It was always like this. Connor was with Tiffany and Joan was with me, or the girls were together and Connor and I were hanging out at the grill or smoking a cigar. I couldn't remember a single time when they did anything more than just talk to each other. Could it be that they have been cheating all this time? Shouldn't there be some obvious signs of infidelity? I went through a list in my head. Staying late at work or not returning home as usual. No, as I said, we have always been together. Increased attention to one's appearance. No, she has always been like this. Change of wardrobe, more sexy and revealing outfits. No, she always dressed fashionably, elegantly hot, but not vulgar. Change in sexual behavior. No, she was as sexy as ever. Change in frequency of sex. No, we had sex in some way at least 4 times a week, every week. Emotional detachment. Not at all. We were as loving, open, and social as ever. Hiding things, blocking phones and emails. No, I knew her passwords and she knew mine. She often asked me to open and respond to her emails and messages. But if Gwen was right and they had an affair, it had been going on for at least 10 years. How would I know it was normal? I racked my brain, trying to remember anything in the last 10 years that might indicate the beginning of an affair. And then it dawned on me. Almost 11 years ago, Joan suffered a miscarriage. This happened in the 2nd trimester and shocked her greatly. She had to undergo a course of therapy, which over time helped her return to a normal life. After this, Joan decided that she wanted to get her tubes tied to avoid the experience from happening again. We had 2 wonderful children, and that was enough for both of us. Maybe that's when it all started. If she had an affair, does that mean they are in love? Maybe they're just waiting for our kids to grow up so they can divorce Tiffany and me. Was my ideal marriage just a deception, a facade, an illusion? I thought about our relationship. I loved my wife unconditionally, and I was absolutely sure that she loved me the same. You could see it in her eyes when she looked at me. Many times people have noticed this and told me about it. At dinner last month, the waitress came up to me as Joan went into the ladies' room and said, "Your wife loves you so much. You can see it when she looks at you. Her face just lights up. I hope someday I'll find a man who would make me look at him like that." I told Joan about this comment when she returned, and she kissed me and told me she loved me more than anything in the world. At that moment, I didn't think anyone else was involved. Were we unhappy? I knew that I was happy. I was incredibly happy. Nothing was missing in my life or in my relationship with Joan. She gave me everything and even more, and I gave her the same back. Was she unhappy? I could not believe it. She constantly said how happy she was and how lucky she was to have me. Maybe she was lucky because I was so naive that I didn't notice her cheating. Maybe she was happy because she had the family she wanted and all the kinky pleasures on the side. My thoughts became increasingly darker the longer I thought about it. I forced myself to stop. I didn't know for sure that Joan was cheating. I had no proof. All I knew was that a few years ago, she went to the spa with Connor regularly and never told me about it. I thought we didn't and couldn't keep secrets from each other. It clearly looked like a secret. The other thing I knew was that Joan had stopped going to the spa, but she never told me about it. Another secret. Over the past few years, she kept telling me about her 2-week spa days. So either she changed spas and didn't tell me, or she was lying. I wondered what else she could be hiding. If I was so naive about this one issue, what else could there be? In fact, the only other time we weren't together was when she was working, which put her in close proximity to Connor and her annual personal vacation. Could it be that Joan was lying to me about where she went and what she did during the entire week she was away every year? Was I that naive? I needed to know, but I couldn't figure out how to find out. And then an idea came to me. Thinking it might work, I picked up the phone, hoping I had Tiffany's number. I scrolled through my contacts, and she was there. I knew she worked from home, so the likelihood of Connor being with her was pretty low. I called her, and she answered immediately. She was surprised that I was calling because I had never done this before. "Is something wrong, Troy?" she asked. If only she knew. "No, nothing like that," I lied. "Just thought you knew Joan, and I would be celebrating our 20th anniversary this year." "Yes, exactly," she said. "Congratulations. Oh, are you planning a surprise party?" "Something like that," I answered. I was thinking of something fun. I thought it would be cool if the four of us went somewhere to celebrate together. You know, like our cabin in Colorado for a few days. "That sounds great," she replied. "Connor and I love the mountains. When do you think about it, and for how long?" I checked my calendar to make sure I had the correct dates for our annual sabbatical and gave them to Tiffany. Tiffany said. She seemed hesitant, as if she was trying to figure out what to say. Finally, she said, "Well, that would be fine for me, but unfortunately, Connor has his annual hunting trip this week. He does it every year." Now the alarms were ringing loudly. "Every year?" I asked. "Yes," she confirmed, "at least for the last 8 or 9 years. Connor picks his dates very carefully, and I can never schedule anything for us during that time." "This is true?" I asked. "Well, you know the dates, Troy. Joan takes a vacation around this time every year, too. The company closes for a whole week, and every employee gets an extra week of paid vacation. Connor calls it the annual sabbatical." I was stunned and could not speak for some time. "Are you there, Troy?" Tiffany asked, concerned in her voice. "Yes, yes," I said. "Okay, then this won't do." I wanted to end the conversation. "Are you okay? You don't sound very good," Tiffany asked. "Is there something you want to talk about?" "Me? I'm fine. Look, I'll see if another time works for us and contact you," I said, lying. "Can you do me a favor?" "Of course," she replied. "What do you need?" "I want it to be a surprise for Joan," I explained. "Can you keep this a secret for now?" "No problem." Just as I was about to hang up, Tiffany spoke. "Troy?" "Yes?" "If you change your mind and want to talk, call me back, okay? I can see that something is eating at you, and if you need to talk about it, talking might help." "Thanks, Tiffany," I said. "I will do so." With that, I ended the call and sat staring into space as my whole world, all my dreams and aspirations and everything I thought was real, came crashing down around me. If my suspicions were correct, and they seemed to be, I saw no way to save my marriage. I didn't want to continue to live a lie, to be a naive, unsuspecting husband. It was impossible to forgive my wife for deceiving me for so long, and I did not suspect anything. I thought she loved me. I couldn't stand the thought of Joan and Connor keeping this secret all these years, deceiving me and Tiffany. We spent time together so many times, and each time they were already lovers. I was a colossal fool. How did I not notice this before? Then I realized that I was not the only naive fool in this situation. Tiffany was in the same boat. She was also deceived, just like me. I needed to talk to her, but without evidence I would just make baseless accusations. Maybe she has some insights or knowledge that can confirm or refute my suspicions. I picked up the phone and called her again. "Hi, Troy," she said as soon as she answered. "I thought you might call back. Something's wrong. I can see it. What aren't you telling me?" I hesitated, trying to find the right words. How to tell a woman that you suspect her husband of cheating on your wife? "Look, I could be wrong, and if I am, I'm really sorry," I said, trying to hide my emotions. "Just say it, Troy," Tiffany said. "I don't have proof, but," I began, then took a deep breath before continuing. "I think it's possible that Joan and Connor could be, damn. I don't know how to say this. I think they could change." Tiffany was silent for several minutes. Then she said, "I know." "You know?" I asked, a little shocked. This was not the reaction I expected. "What do you mean, you know?" "I mean, I know they cheat," she replied softly. "Like you, I have no real proof. I could hire a detective or take steps to obtain evidence if necessary. But I don't need them. I know they sleep together." "How long have you known this?" I asked, still trying to process her answer. "You won't like this, Troy," Tiffany said, "but you deserve to know. I knew that probably from the beginning. I suspected that their relationship was developing beyond the professional, before it became intimate. There was no one big event, no clear evidence. It was a collection of many small things, small changes in Connor's behavior, his attitude, his smells, the things he shared with me and the ones he tried to hide, but I knew. My wife always knows." I was stunned. My brain tried to connect the pieces of this shattered reality, but could not make them come together. "Troy?" Tiffany called me. "Yes." "I'm sorry. I know you're probably angry right now. You're angry at them for what they do, for their betrayal, for their lies, and for humiliating them. You're probably angry at me for hiding it from you." "Angry? It's more than anger. My marriage is a sham. Everything is a lie. Nothing I thought was true is true. How would Joan do this to me, to our family, to our children? How could you hide this from me? You're as guilty as they are." "You're right," she replied. "In a way, I feel a lot of guilt about it. But Troy, I went through the same thing you are doing now, years ago. I was furious. I wanted a divorce. I wanted to destroy Connor, take our children, and run away. I wanted to destroy everything we had, but not just our marriage. I wanted Joan to pay for seducing my husband. I hated her and wanted her to suffer." "I know this feeling," I growled. "But I realized that if I confronted Connor and divorced him, I wouldn't just destroy our marriage. I would destroy yours and ruin the lives of all our children. That was a heavy weight for me." "You wouldn't have destroyed it," I corrected her. "They would have destroyed it." "But don't you see, Troy?" Tiffany asked, her voice shaking with tears. "I didn't run into Connor. I didn't ruin our marriage. And for almost 10 years, you were happily married to your soulmate, and your children had a mother they loved and parents who were together. I've been dreading this day for all of it. Time because I was afraid how you would react when everything became clear." "Afraid? Afraid of what?" I asked. "I was afraid that you would take everything from me," she sobbed. "I know you don't understand this, but I love my husband and I don't want to lose him. I don't want my marriage and my family to be destroyed. If you run into Joan now, it will happen. If either of us ruins our house, we will destroy the other's house too. I could not do this to you years ago, and I beg you not to do this to me now." "Tiffany," I said, not knowing what to say. "Troy, I know you're suffering right now. I suffered for a long time when I found out. But I truly believe that they love us and don't want to lose our relationship. I don't know why they have this secret relationship, but it's not to replace us. Connor never neglected me, did not refuse love, attention. I never felt unwanted, abandoned, or that he was choosing someone else instead of me. They never took our time for themselves. Ours. They took up our time every time they were together, I objected. Is that so? She asked. Tell me, when did Joan take away your time to be with Connor? Were you with her on Thursdays on her day off? No, I was working, I replied. But that doesn't make it right. I'm not saying that makes it right, Troy. I'm saying that makes it acceptable, at least for me. They don't go away at night or on weekends. They don't make up fake business trips to be together. They could, don't you see it? If they wanted to do it, they could do it many times. But they never did. They choose to be with us and have time together only when we are not around. That she is cheating on you. Tell me, how did you finally understand this? I told her about how I found the notice in the mail and about my short investigation, putting two and two together. So if you hadn't found this letter, you probably would never have known. I was naive. I never saw any signs that Joan was cheating on me. So if nothing had changed, probably not. Before you knew it, were you happily married? Tiffany asked. I was. I thought we had the perfect marriage. No marriage is perfect, Troy, Tiffany said. Most marriages have problems, and some are better than others. Even knowing that Connor was sleeping with Joan made me happy. I know what they're doing is wrong, but overall, it's not hurting us. Connor and I just as close as we were at the beginning of our marriage in every aspect. For that matter, the sex was always better on their Thursdays. You can't be serious, I exclaimed. I was with her after they had sex. It's disrespectful. It's humiliating. This is true, Tiffany asked. Maybe instead of humiliating you, she gave herself to you so you could restore her. Maybe she wanted you to be the one she thinks about when she goes to bed. Then why the hell are they cheating on us? I felt like I was losing control. Tears flowed from my eyes. Why? I don't know for sure, but I think at first it had to do with the loss of the child and her decision to get her tubes tied. I think she needed to feel wanted again, and she didn't need that reassurance from her husband. I know that feeling, but never acted on it. I think she did, and Connor helped her, and then, for some reason, they continued. But what if they're just waiting for our kids to grow up so they can break up our marriages and run away together? I asked, voicing my fears. I've thought about it too. I have, Tiffany replied, but I don't think it's true. Connor and I have talked a lot about retirement and the future. I refuse to believe that the man I shared a bed with and raised children with could be so heartless and cruel. They love us, Troy. They don't want anything to change. So they want to have everything at once, I said. In a way, yes, Tiffany replied. Think so. What should I do now? I asked. I did not know. I don't know, Troy. You have a decision to make, but I'm asking you not to act now while the pain is still fresh. I have a proposal. Which? I asked. Spend the night with this thought today, and tomorrow come to me and we will talk face to face. Connor and Joan will be at their spa day all day, so you can come here and we can talk privately. After this, if you decide to divorce Joan, I will support you. But what should I do tonight? I can't meet her. I can't talk to her and pretend nothing happened. If I have to talk to her, I might lose my composure. You said you came home from work because you were sick. How are you feeling? Worse. Great, Tiffany explained. Text her that you are sick and don't want to infect her, so you will sleep in the guest room. That way you don't have to be near her, and tomorrow, after she leaves, come to me. You know I'm working from home, so it's not a big problem for me. Like I said, I've been dreading this day for years, but this has given me plenty of time to prepare. I have something I want to show you tomorrow that might change your mind. Nothing will change my mind, I told her. Please give me a chance, she begged. Okay, Tiffany, I said. I'll give you this chance, and then it's over. Thanks, Troy, Tiffany said, and hung up. I wrote to Joan. Hey, I'm feeling worse. I'll stay home tomorrow, just in case. To make sure you don't get infected, I'll sleep in the guest room. I'll take a large dose of NyQuil and go to bed. I'll probably be asleep by the time you get home." A few minutes later, my phone beeped, and I opened her reply. "Oh God, have you been to the doctor? Do you have a fever? If you stay home, I'll cancel my spa day tomorrow and stay with you. You need the care of Nurse Joan." I wrote back, "No fever, didn't go to the doctor. Probably just a virus. No need to cancel anything because of me. If you do, I'll be very upset. Go and do whatever you do on your spa day. I'm done and we'll be okay." I wrote this in a harsher tone than she probably perceived. "Okay, I'll think about you. I love you." Marvelous. I couldn't believe Joan would say that when she was having sex with her boss and my friend tomorrow. "You are simply amazing. Do you know that?" I wrote back, again not meaning what she probably perceived. "Oh, thank you, honey. Do you need to bring anything?" "No, I just need sleep. NyQuil is starting to take effect. I'm going to bed. Good night." Tiffany was a genius. This saved me from having to communicate. I wasn't sleepy, but I decided I needed to pretend to be, so I put on my pajamas, grabbed a few bottles of water, and headed to the guest room. I texted Abby and told her I was sick and would be sleeping in the guest room. She didn't look too worried. Later in the evening, she came by to check on me. I pretended to be asleep, and she left. About 30 minutes later, I heard the garage door opening and closing. I pretended to be asleep again when the bedroom door opened. "Hello, darling," Joan whispered. "How do you feel?" I didn't answer, hoping she would leave. Instead, Joan came into the room, sat on the edge of the bed, and touched my forehead to see if I had a fever. What a caring cheater, I thought, knowing that tomorrow she would be in the arms of another man and come home to continue lying to me. I wanted her to leave before I got sick. She gently shook my shoulder. "Honey, you need to eat something. I brought you chicken soup from Market Street and frozen yogurt from Yogurtville. What do you want first?" I groaned and opened my eyes. "Nothing. I'll be fine. You have to leave. I don't want you to get infected. I'll feel worse then." And then I saw a tray standing on a nearby dresser. There were 2 bowls on it, and one of them was floating. "Just leave the food out, and I'll eat when I'm ready." "Okay, honey," Joan said, leaning down to kiss my forehead. I raised my hand to stop her. "Don't. You might get infected." Then I pretended to cough, and she backed off. "Okay, but if you don't feel better by morning, I'll stay home," she said. "No objection, mister." Joan left and closed the door. I spent a restless night, tossing and turning and thinking about our marriage, family, and all the years we spent together. I relived conversations, events, parties, meetings, everything. I thought about all the times we were around Connor. There was never any hint that he was even interested in Joan, and yet he had been doing it all along. In the morning, Joan looked into the guest room. I was no longer asleep. "How are you feeling, dear?" she asked, wearing only one of my old t-shirts. "I feel much better," I lied. "It was probably a 24-hour cold. I think I'll take the day off just in case, but I'm out of danger now." "Oh, cool, let's play truant," Joan said as she walked into the room and closed the door behind her. "Why don't I stay home and we'll hang out together? I hate being away from you when I know you're free." "No, you should go," I said. "I may still be contagious. We'll see how I feel later today." "You are sure?" She smiled as she slowly lifted her shirt, revealing her gorgeous curves. The sight of her naked body disgusted me. Was she teasing Connor the same way? "Yes, I'm sure," I said. Joan stopped and looked at me with an expression that was hard to describe, part sadness, part disappointment. She let go of the t-shirt, and it fell back into place. "Well, this is definitely a mood killer," she said, turning around and starting to walk away. She stopped after opening the door and turned back. "I love you, darling, with all my heart. You know that I would rather spend every day with you. All you have to do is ask." "What if I want to stop our sabbaticals and spend one more week together every year?" I asked, trying to gauge her reaction. She smiled. I would agree, but you will have to come with me to my sister's. Oh, hell then, I said, jokingly. I don't know how I was able to make jokes while feeling the way I did. Joan smiled, then said, all you have to do is ask. I nodded. Yes, certainly. Sure. I waited for her to shower, get dressed, and leave the house before I got out of bed. I showered and drank a cup of coffee before texting Tiffany. Ready. Yes, income. 10 minutes later. 10 minutes later, I knocked on her door and Tiffany opened it, leading me into the kitchen. She was still in her robe and looked like she hadn't slept well. We sat down and she placed a mug of coffee in front of me. We sat in silence for several minutes, both lost in our own thoughts. Troy, I'm sorry, she said, speaking first. I should regret not telling you, but I don't. Because I didn't tell you, you were able to be happy for all these years, just like us. I forgive you, Tiffany, I said with a half-laugh. I don't blame you for anything. You didn't do anything wrong. You tried to protect me, my children, your children from the harm that Connor and Joan did. I blame them, not you. Thanks, Troy, she said, smiling. You have no idea what a relief this is for me. That doesn't mean I'm not going to confront your husband and my unfaithful wife, I told her, making sure my position was clear. I understand, she said. I felt the same way for a long time. I was so angry knowing that when we get together, they have a secret that they are hiding from us. Honestly, I never saw them show any signs of it. Not there were no winks or sneaky glances or anything like that, but just the idea that they had this big secret that we didn't know made me angry. Yeah, I couldn't sleep all night thinking about all the times we spent time together and how they acted. I never saw anything suspicious. But yeah, the idea that they were having fun behind our back and hiding it seemed mocking, although I never saw them mocking. Right, Tiffany said, then laughed. I felt better when I realized that I had one advantage. Which? I asked. They had their secret, but I also had a secret. My secret was that I knew about their secret, and they did not know that I knew. For me, my secret was more important than theirs. I haven't thought of it that way, but yes, I can understand, I replied. So when we were at the party, I kept a close eye on them. They seemed to have a secret pact to avoid contact with each other, not look at each other, and stay at least 3 feet away. These were what I call anti-signs. There were no signs that they were having an affair, but anti-signs were everywhere. Thus, without hugging each other when they met, like you and I, they sent each other a secret wink. Wait, are you saying that by trying not to show any signs, they actually showed them? I asked, trying to understand what she meant. It sounded diabolical. Yeah, something like that, she said. At least that's what I thought. It was too perfect a contradiction of what you'd expect from people who have sex every week. But now we share a secret that they don't, Tiffany said. It's like a meta-secret, a secret within a secret. What do we know what they're doing, and they can't hide it from us anymore, but they don't know what we know, I asked. Yes, said Tiffany, there is power in knowledge. I guess, I said. I just don't know if I can live with what they're doing, what they've been doing all these years. I'm sorry, I know you don't want to ruin them, but I do. You've had 8 years to get used to it. This is new, and I want revenge. What if it's a secret revenge? What if we get revenge on them, and we know it, but they don't? Then we'll have an even bigger meta-secret. They think they have a secret that we don't know, but we know their secret, and we have an even greater secret that they know nothing about. Our secret revenge. This must be a great revenge, I said, thinking of all the things I could do in revenge. When I invited you, I said I wanted to show you something that might convince you not to ruin our marriages, remember? Tiffany asked. Yes, you did. So what is it? I asked. Tiffany stood up. She untied her robe and let it slide to the floor. She was naked. This is it, she said. I think you and I should spend every other Thursday with each other and go on vacation together every year. We'll do it the same way they do it, at the same time they do it. We'll get our revenge, and let's keep our secret, our meta-secret. We'll have our cake and eat it too. As she spoke, she came closer and closer to me. Tiffany is a beautiful woman with a perfect body. My breath caught, and I forgot to breathe. She put her hands on mine and raised them to her chest. "Touch me, Troy," she said. "I've been planning this day for 8 years, waiting, hoping that you would find out. I would never do anything to tell you, but I wanted you to find out. I want my revenge, just like you, but I waited 8 damn years to get it. I want it now." She sighed softly, and I heard her breathing become ragged. "I can't undo what Joan did," Tiffany whispered, her mouth next to my ear, "but you can take all your anger out on me." I pulled her to me, and our mouths met in a passionate, strong kiss. Before either of us knew what we were doing, we were making tender, passionate love to each other. "Now what?" I asked. "Now, I think we should have a party this weekend so you and I can continue to be the clueless idiots we've always been, while Connor and Joan keep their shared secret, never knowing what we know, and that while they're out, damn it, so are we." "That sounds like a plan," I said, but I meant it in the longer term. "I want it, Troy," Tiffany said. I walked home and my thoughts were in a much better state than when I went there in the morning. I took a long, calming shower and then sat down to think it all over. Tiffany was right. Until the card arrived in the mail, I thought we had the perfect marriage. It was perfect. Nothing is missing for me. I had everything I ever wanted and more. Joan was my soul mate, the mother of my children and my lover. So what's different now? She was still all of those things. I still had a perfect marriage, only now I could also have sex with Tiffany once every 2 weeks and 1 week a year without anyone knowing or even suspecting it. No harm done. I chuckled and realized that I suddenly knew what Joan had known all along. My only regret was that Tiffany and I had to wait 8 years to do what Joan and Connor had been doing all along. Door opened. I didn't even hear the garage door open. I was so beside myself. Joan came up to me and wrapped her arms around me, hugging and kissing me. "I love you so much, Troy," she said. I could tell she was crying. "What's the matter?" I asked. "I've been worried about you all day," she said. "You never get sick, and it was kind of strange. I thought a lot today, and I don't want to lose you ever. If you want to take our sabbatical together from now on, we can do that. It suits me. You mean more to me than anyone, well, than anything else." I smiled. Was she really willing to give up her annual trip with her lover for me? "Honey," I said, "you don't have to do this. We have the perfect marriage, and you are the best wife any man could ever want. I do not want to change anything. Continue your sabbatical. Go and do what makes you happy. I'm not going anywhere. You're stuck with me." Joan began to cry and kissed me tenderly. "You are sure?" "I'm sure," I said and kissed her back. "Oh, and I signed up for a spa today, so I'll be having a spa day every other Wednesday too." Joan looked at me and nodded slowly. "Oh, cool," she said. 2 weeks later, Connor and Tiffany invited us to dinner at their home. When we arrived, I noticed Connor greeted Joan with a blow kiss on each cheek, deliberately not kissing her and keeping a very formal distance between them. Throughout the evening, they were never alone for more than 10 seconds. If they were ever there, you could leave the room and look for either Tiffany or me. It was almost funny, and I thought Tiffany hit the nail on the head. It was like a secret code of anti-signs. Tiffany and I took the opposite approach. I kissed her firmly on the cheeks when I said hello and hugged her tightly. All night, I looked at her appraisingly and complimented her many times. She even winked at me. When we walked in after dinner, Connor made sure to sit away from Joan, leaving her alone on the couch. However, Tiffany came and sat on my lap in the chair. We had a smug look on our faces that said, "If only they knew we know what they think we don't know, but they don't know what we know." Joan and Connor looked awkward. "So," I said, "Tiffany and I had an idea for a sabbatical this year. Why don't the 4 of us take them together?" Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think click to the next one.